Okay.
Wait, is that Trevor showing you the motion?
That means that
And also buttons.
Things.
Yeah.
But only like
Really?
slightly.
So today we're talking about actually I'll back out real quick, show you guys this. As won the poll on the Game Dev Workshop Discord 3-2, we're talking about saving the game.
Are you sure we're not talking about saving lives from the storm?
Yeah.
You're only saying that because John Luke pretended he was Hurricane Irma for about a solid week and no one thought it was funny.
Accurate.
But for those of you that were not aware this was happening, we held a vote on the Discord to see whether we talk about saving the game today or drawing RPG-style text boxes to the screen. Saving the game won. I don't know if you can see it. It won 3-2, and so we're talking about that today, and we're talking about the text boxes next week.
I mean, this is coming from the same guy who thought the woe meme was funny for a long time.
Is it like pause the
Alright,
game for
alright, you like
Yes, you.
Mr. I do JoJo 75 minutes.
I can actually put that as a suggestion. If you guys also, if you have any suggestions on stuff for me to cover, put it in the Discord, and yeah, that's like the main way I have of communicating with you guys. But yeah, today we're talking about saving and loading, and also buttons, but like only really slightly.
how
And
to
that
fix the hitbox to not suck.
that sounds like a personal problem.
How to not set the object player as your parent.
How to not make your player clone float into the air? Because I must go.
You're supposed to be the bug fixer of everything. What the heck? All right,
I did fix
and there's a reason I cover buttons and like buttons here. There's a reason I cover buttons here, and that's just because it kind of ties into how I set this up, and because I figured, you know what, I should probably tell these guys about that because it's something important. You know, might as well. All right, so I completely screwed up the formatting on that, but Austin, I called you out. I don't know if you can see this. But most of you guys play video games. You know how important saving is, and how it's hard to explain to your parents you can't save or pause an online game.
Made that joke last week.
It's because I talked about pausing last week. Rest in peace, CS:GO career. But yeah, it's just you guys know what saving is mostly. Unless you're making like a Street Fighter arcade machine
Or a roguelike.
yeah, you probably don't. Well, even then, there's always something you can save.
We volunteered for this class. I think we should all know what's it.
What's a video game?
It's really just I say this for the sake of
What's a
saying it.
video game?
I will
is a
beat you with
save?
this foam block.
Who is saying?
Go ahead.
What's an insistence?
Wow. All right.
What is Kool-Aid Man?
Who is this 4chan? Okay, moving on though. There are two methods you can save your data. Save data always gets outputted to an external file.
Keep going. Yep.
Nice. I would keep going, but the fact that I'm using my laptop mic means it's a lot more sensitive to stuff that happens in the room, and that would probably pick up. Anyway, there's two main ways of storing it: a text file or an ini file, and that's ini. Why are you wearing a tank top, Luke?
Wait, any file? I mean, it doesn't matter.
Get out. Get out. All right. So,
Any
yes.
file, so it doesn't matter what type of file?
No, it's ini. It's just pronounced ini, kind of like GIF is pronounced GIF.
Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I save it as a MIDI file?
No. I mean, you can. It's just not gonna work.
How do you save a save file?
We're getting there. All right. So there are two methods you can use. It's just a .text file or a .ini file, or I shouldn't say .ini, but it's an ini. I don't honestly know what ini is, but it works. It's made of 100% King Crimsonium. But yeah, we're covering the ini file method because, and I do not use this phrase lightly, it is vastly superior to the text file method. And the reason for this is that any files can actually store multiple pieces of data. You know, like a save file. Yeah, that was a great John Mulaney reference, and I'm sad none of you got that. All right, but we're gonna get to how to actually save in a second, but first let's talk about button presses. And by button presses, I mean parallel universes. Yeah, I made that meme.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, the long-running meme is a button press is only a button press. You can't say it's only half. That's actually not
Why is there a
true.
spider?
It's not a spider, it's a scuttlebug, and it has been transported to the corner of the slide.
It's the
Why is there a
It's the thing.
Okay, but okay. Game Maker treats button presses in multiple stages. There are 3 stages. There is a press, a hold, and a release. And there are 3 separate checks for each of those states. So there's there's keyboard check that checks if the key's being pressed. There's also keyboard check down. No, it's either keyboard check down. No, it's keyboard check pressed. My bad. And keyboard check released. In addition to just the normal down. The pressed returns true once, and it is on the single frame that the button is pressed. What do you want?
That goes.
May I have your attention, please?
No.
The following students, please report to the main office.
Okay.
Reagan Russell, Katie Van Stratum.
I'm just gonna kind of try and keep talking. So held checks, that's your keyboard, that's just your keyboard check. That returns true for every frame the button is held down. And then,
If you have a lost
yeah.
lunchbox,
This is just too much to talk over, so.
Don't worry, we're just releasing the identity of multiple students.
Yep.
Please,
Um,
extension 2181 or come
okay.
to the main office, and we need Annie McBride to the main office as well.
Are you done?
Also, I have not.
Thank you, okay. Anyway, so release checks are that's your keyboard check release. They're kind of like, if you finish that sentence, I will beat you. Release checks return true, except it's on the single frame the button is released. That may seem arbitrary, and it may seem completely irrelevant for saving, but using the wrong check can mess up your game, as I have found out when you have your character's movement that only triggers on the man. Third time's the charm.
They just
And nothing, okay.
Like off the point.
But yeah. So when you accidentally have something that should be on the down event registered to the press event and it stops moving and you wonder where everything went wrong in life, yeah, that can happen. Okay, now to build up speed for 12 hours. I'm kidding, but we are going to Game Maker. And that was a quality meme, and I'm disappointed none of you got it. I mean, I'm disappointed, but I saw it coming. Also, so I just like to just talk about this real quick. That's the Scuttlebug from Super Mario 64, which is part of the meme. Yeah. Well, no, it's not a water level. It's Watch for Rolling Rocks and half an A press. Yeah.
You remember fully where this individual enemy.
Yeah. But okay, anyways. So in order to get that picture, I was like, all right, I need a ping file, the .png, of the Scuttlebug from Super Mario 64. So I typed in SM64, which is Super Mario 64, Scuttlebug PNG, and then I regretted every decision I had made in my life. Do not search that.
Search it!
Okay, all right, I'm looking.
What comes up?
Is it like?
You don't want to know.
Please.
Is it illegal?
I'm gonna say yes.
I would say something else, but there is a.
Okay, but anyway, let's talk about actually saving the game. So I'm gonna open up.
Oh god.
See, told you'd regret your decisions.
What is it?
Where's that fan? Oh.
Okay, if you're gonna get up and swarm over here, do it in a minute.
Not appropriate for school accident.
Yeah, it is.
What?
It's deviant art. I feel like that should be enough to suffice.
Bad, yep. That is bad. Like those Tumblr? Then there's DeviantArt.
Yeah,
Which is where it goes down about
I
I warned you.
It can't be that bad.
Why?
I warned you. Yeah, we are. All right, so back to the actual school. Okay, sit down. We had that little fiasco.
Surprised by that, more disgusted.
Just sit down.
That's why I kept playing on Undertale. This is why I.
Speaking of, I put an Undertale reference in the slides and no one called it out.
Where? I guess
Show me the money.
Okay. I'll go back to it after the fact, but now let's actually talk about how to make a video game. Okay, so in the objects under the global, I have an object called object save, and this is just calling two scripts. One saves the game, one loads the game. That you can really change this to however you want to adapt to your game. Like you might want it to auto-save every time you load a new room. Basically, as long as you call your script save game, it'll save your game. However you want to do that is up to you. I just have it bound to pressing the F2 key, and there's the difference between pressing and holding, because otherwise it would save multiple times. And while that's not really an issue, it's not really a good thing either. Cameron, go back to your seat.
Sit down. I'm good, maybe.
You're not good. None of us are good. All right, so how I have it bound, that's just a global object that stays in the game. Whenever you press F2, it saves the game. Whenever you press F3, it loads it. That's all that object does.
What exactly was the importance of the skull bug on the slide anyway?
Oh, it was part of the meme. It's watch for rolling rocks and half an A press. We're transporting the scuttle bug to the corner of the. If you guys haven't seen that video, watch it because it's hilarious.
Play it for us.
I'm not. Maybe later. It's like 30 minutes long.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the Discord. Okay.
That's high quality right there.
Yeah.
And this will be how the memes channel was born.
We're not making a memes channel. Okay. So there's two scripts here that basically control all the saving and loading. So we're going to talk about saving first, because that's important. All right, so the save game, the first thing it checks to see is if save.sav exists. And if I go in here, it saves it to app data, local, and then whatever the name of your project is. Mine's project SQL, and as you can see here is save, and it is a sav file. This little icon just says it opens in Sublime Text over here. No, I don't want to download an update to Sublime Text. Fight me.
Would you like to upgrade? Would you like to buy Sublime Text?
No. I bought WinRAR. I'm kidding. Nobody buys WinRAR. Okay.
Actually,
So the first thing. Okay. So save.sav is the save file. It doesn't matter what extension you use. I just use .sav. It's going to save it with any formats, anyways. So yeah. So if the file exists, it deletes the file. And that's overwriting. You know those like, you sure you want to overwrite the game? Yeah, that's what that is. So it deletes the save file and then proceeds to make a new one. So
What if you saved and loaded the game at the exact same time?
then you would have to have frame perfect input, and you should probably go into speedrunning. So the first command that we use is any_open, and then the file name. Now, any_open and any_close are like really deceptive in what they do, in the sense of they don't actually. Well, I don't want to say they don't actually open the file because that's what they do, but they open the file for reading and writing. Close down here, this any close, it closes the file for reading and writing, so you can't read or write to it anymore until it's reopened. So the first thing we do is open the any file so we can read and write to it. And also, the close, the any_close, that actually saves the file with all of the changes you put into it. So you have to be sure to put that. So here, I'm saving three things. The first is the room you're in, and how I did that, I just have a variable called saved room. I set it equal to the current room. That's just what room is. That gives the index of the current room you're in. After that, it's any_write_real, and that's for writing real data, I guess. There's also a any_write_string if you want to write strings. I've just used real and it seemed to work. So the first thing it saves is the room you're currently in. That's kind of irrelevant for my case, just because I only have one room right now. But that's definitely something you need to include, because otherwise it won't work. They won't get sent to the right place. The second thing this does is it writes the player's X position and their Y position. And I should probably go over the syntax of how any write real works. That's kind of important. Okay, so the first thing it does, I'll actually open the any file so you guys can see. I don't know how well you guys can see over here, but there is, actually I'll actually move, make it a bit easier. There's player in brackets here, and then there's something that says Y equals 520, X equals 365, and then room equals 2. That 2 is equal to the room test that I have. It stores all the rooms as numbers. It works. But that's what it's writing. So when you write the real command, it takes 3 arguments. The first is the section it's going to be under. So this player, that's just a section. And it's just a way of grouping the code in your any file. You can have like a player option, player group, an enemy group, a level group, any amount of groups you want. It's just a way of organizing all of your values. Ah. All right. The second argument it takes is the key name. Now the key is what this is actually called. So the Y, X, and room, those are referred to as the keys of the save file. That's not anything you have to remember. Just know that this is this. And then the third argument it takes is the value you're writing to it. So for example, saved room is 2. And so this first command right here ends up creating a section called player, a key called room, and giving it a value of 2. That's basically all these do. It's just this uses the player's current X and Y position and then closes the file.
I assume if you ever added an enemy, you would find their position as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is just any information you want to write to the save file.
That's my first actual question I've asked.
Yeah. Welcome to the club.
Wasn't a JoJo reference.
Exactly.
I will throw
Don't
this.
tempt me.
All right. What?
I can't see.
Well, now we're talking about loading. But, I mean, there's seats over here. I'm just saying. I mean, there's really no good position for me to be standing in right now, but okay. So anyways. That works. All right.
No save
So-
file, can do nothing.
So this is the load. This is the load file script. And the first thing it asks, kind of like the save file, is does save.sav exist? If it doesn't do anything right now. You could make it output like, hey, there's no save. Screwed up. Yeah, something goofed. That's my error messages. I say something goofed and then like the actual error.
You can look at Undertale, the dirty hacker error message.
Yeah, but I reserve that for only special people, like Austin, who deliberately break my games.
I've never played Undertale.
No,
Anyways.
it's all about drinking water.
Yeah, I'm talking about breaking Watson Quest. All right, so the first thing we use is any_open again, because any open, again, it opens it not just for writing, but for reading. And so you need to open that up if you want to, actually read from it. So it creates 3 variables, and then it uses this any_read real command. And again, that's kind of like the write, except it's not writing, it's reading. I know that's probably a dumb explanation, but a lot of this crap is self-explanatory, so there you go. So anyway, it also takes 3 arguments. The first argument it takes is the group it's under. So player right here tells it to go to the player section in your any file. Next is the key, so room tells it to go to the room key in the player, and then it reads it. Now this third value here is your default. Basically, if something goes horribly wrong and it can't find or it can't read, it gets corrupted or something, if it can't read that value for whatever reason, it will default and return that value. So right now my default is room test. Basically meaning, hey, if something goes terribly, horribly wrong, the loaded room is room test. That's just your failsafe. The next two things I have are similar, except it reads the characters X and the characters Y, and sets the default to 0. That's probably an awful idea because it would probably put it off the map. But yeah.
Well, with the Game Maker, doesn't it make it where a list or anything like that always starts at 0 rather than 1?
Well, yeah, I'm talking about X and Y positions.
Oh.
Because
Okay.
your game won't always have something at X0, Y0. And then it closes the ini file because we've already stored all the information we need into these 3 variables, so we don't need the ini file anymore. So we're going to go ahead and close it. Now this right here... I have no idea. I'm a college student. I don't go here anymore. I've never had to say that before.
Shut
I need Zoe Thurber in the clinic for just a moment.
But nobody cares.
To the clinic.
I mean, Zoe Thurber probably cares. All right. So, and then now that we have all this information, we actually do something with it. This first line I actually commented out because I couldn't get it to work. I was a bit rushed for time making this one because it was definitely because of the calculus quiz I had today and not coming up with a tier list for Smash Bros. Infinite. Definitely that.
I'll take your belief on it.
That's actually the case. Like, Infinite has 100 characters. You expect me to make a tier list for that on my own?
Wait, here's rank number 1.
Again.
Either Raiden, Sephiroth, or Marisa. I can't decide. But the thing it does next is it sets the player's X to the loaded X and the player's Y to the loaded Y. This commented out code, it told you to go, it made it go to the loaded room. I think I know what the issue was. I was just too lazy / pressed for time / tired / sleep deprived / hungry to fix it. Welcome to my life.
Not wanting to live.
Wait, you're hungry.
Well, okay, I can't say that because Danganronpa V3 comes out in like a week and a half. Then I get to watch a whole nother set of high school characters die and me crying softly in the distance. Good game, 10 out of 10 would recommend. All right, but I think the issue with that is that I actually have the player object initialized in the room, which, I don't know, I think it was doing something with how it was like setting it to, because it kept returning to its default position, and I feel like there was something up with that. But this works fine right now.
Wait, the default's 0, 0.
No, it's not default. It was returning it to the default position that I had the character set in, so it kept returning it right here, where it's placed in the room, as opposed to, it reset the room, it just put him here as opposed to where he was last. But that's the gist of this load script. Basically, every time you call it, it loads the game. Now, normally you'd probably want to put this and the save script for that matter behind a menu. This is just something that I put together to show you guys how it works. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to launch the game. 3 hours.
Taking longer than the space shuttle.
Let me tell you about this wonderful thing called Storm Warning. Took a solid 5 minutes to compile the first time. All right, so we're gonna hit continue. All
Something about Doom Snap Map on a
right.
$200 computer.
right,
It's Doom Snap Map on Xbox.
but can it run Doom?
It's to load the game.
But
Then you can
can
like
it-
another 5
But-
with a freeze
but-
on 75%.
But Chris, but can it run Doom? All right, so anyway, so
Everything on its lowest setting.
Okay,
and
so-
we're still in half slow motion.
okay, so somebody tell me just a point to go to in this.
Top right, 72.
Okay, who said Taco Bell? I will slap you. All right, so I'm just gonna go here and I'm gonna hit F2. And that should save the game. Now if I just move over, I'm gonna hit F3 and I'm returned to that position. That was it loading the game. And now something neat. I'm going to close out of the game. All right. I have exited the game completely. It's not in my taskbar. There's no like magic tricks here. Those I only do card tricks. And occasionally disappearing money. I give it back sometimes. No. Okay. I'm kidding. But if I go back in and I hit F3 again, it returns us right back to that position because it is loading from an external file. And something neat, I will actually,
Magic trick.
yeah, I will open up the .ini file so you guys can actually see this.
Can you manipulate it through the?
Yeah. So I'm going. You can see the values it's at right now. It's 471, 988. I'm going to move over here, hit F2 to save, and then go back in, and it actually changes and updates. I'm not showing you any of my saves.
The save text.
But if you were asking about, oh wait, you mean the save script? I'll pull that up here in a second. But if you were, what you were saying about, is it possible to manipulate it through the save file? Yeah, I believe it is. So for example here, that's the current Y position. I'm gonna up that by about
Let's check where zero is.
that much, maybe 50. And then I'm gonna save it. And then if I load, it moves me down to that position. So yes, you can manipulate the game through the save objects. And I mean, yeah, that's an issue, especially for some people.
Hey, I never manipulated saves. I never did.
I know, but that sounds like something you do.
All you have to do is type in room.win. No.
Oh no.
I don't know what your room's
Yeah.
named.
But
What are your rooms named?
I have 3, and it's room main, room init, and room test. But
No, I mean what's in quest.
Oh, those ones.
room 102, because it saves them all as numbers.
Yeah.
But
All numbers in
that's the gist of it. I'll pull up this save script because Austin needs to see it. But that's how you save and load games. Any questions?
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
No, Patrick. Mayonnaise is not an instrument. If you say, do pigeons have feelings or do penguins have knees, I will beat you with this computer.
What are black holes like?
Spaghetti.
I can confirm.
What does the color red smell like?
Purple.
Blood.
Red hot chili peppers because aliens don't wear hats.
I'm really tempted to throw this at him.
If only it were made of concrete.
If it was made of...
Bringing up
Yes.
Cookie.
What do I do?
Dang.
Joke's on you, I'm keeping these. What?
I think
Okay,
it's a
are there any
phrase.
more actual questions so I can stop the recording?
What does unable to write directory saving aborted mean?
It means you screwed up.
But I copied right. Oh no.
He gonna beat you.
Oh, wait.
Huh.
No, what you want to do is you want to save that as a script and then just call it.
Oops.
Austin, you do these every Wednesdays?
What?
You do this
You're
every
the queen's
Yeah.
first bomb.
I'll be here from now.
Every Wednesday at lunch. And also, are you in the Discord?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's
All of the previous lessons have been recorded and put in the Discord.
Yes.
Alright, I was gonna say.
2 minutes. 1.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I joined this
No.
a while ago.
Can you do
And
a
dude, you
face
ever watched the
cam?
video Angry Scottish Man versus Sheep?
Okay.